everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I am going to be talking about my long issue with my residence. I figured that since I'm not planning on staying at the school anymore, I can talk about it. I was going to talk about it no matter if I stayed at the school or not, but since I'm just going to be finishing the last semester and then switching schools, I was like, you know what, this is a good time to be able to talk about this story, so let's get into it. So I'm currently a student in Toronto at the university, and I applied there as actually my last choice. I originally wanted to go into nursing, slash being a nurse practitioner. Obviously that comes with experience, but I applied for nursing and I applied for it at two other different schools, and I had waited months for it to come in to see if I got accepted or not, and the first school that accepted me was Toronto, but I only applied to Toronto for sciences because their nursing program, the way it's set up, it's like you have to get your degree and then apply for the nursing program, which I think is ridiculous. Like, why would you have to do 6 years in total of nursing when you can do 4 years at any other school that's just as good for nursing? Or even better. So yeah, so I applied to science anyways because I figured maybe I'll change my mind about nursing, maybe I want to do something else, like be a doctor or something. So I applied for that school, and that was the first school I heard from. So after that, I had heard from another school, and they had rejected me, and the last school rejected me, but they offered me an alternate offer, so they still accepted me, but just not for the program that I applied to. So I immediately was stuck with science at this school and science at Toronto, and I was like debating the options. But if you don't know, Toronto is rated the #1 in Canada, so I figured, well, if I'm gonna go into science and then graduate with science, I might as well go to Toronto because I'll have better odds of getting a job and all that after school, because it's the #1 school, so clearly you're coming from a good spot. So basically I rejected the other offers, which kind of like to help you guys out a little. They wanted like a 92 to 93 average for nursing, which I think is ridiculously high. Like, I understand that nursing is like a big thing and they pretty much do everything. Like, obviously doctors are so important and all that, but nurses are really the backbone of the medical system. So I totally get them having to know a lot of material, but the fact that you need such a high average to even like be considered is insane to me, especially because they base it on their applicants, right? So if they have a lot of applicants that are in the high 90s, then obviously they're going to cut their average off at a certain thing. So I don't know, in my opinion, I just think it's ridiculous, and I think that they should give a chance to people who are in even the high 80s, which I was. So yeah, that's just my opinion. But anyways, moving on. So I got accepted to Toronto, and I instantly took the offer. I accepted it, and I was set to go to school for September. So at this rate, they start sending you all the emails, which I'm sure anyone who's applied to university knows. They send you all emails being like, so glad you applied to us, like blah blah blah, so glad you accepted our offer. This is how you're gonna pick your courses. Like, you're gonna pick them at this time, at this exact date. If you're living in a residence, you're gonna have to do this by this certain date, and blah 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 and all this stuff. So I think it was like, I want to say like April, May when I got the email about residence. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely doing residence. I don't live that far from Toronto, but it'd just be so much easier and so much cheaper to live on res than do traveling back and forth. And now I'm saying that, it probably isn't cheaper. No, it definitely is. Regardless, in my head at the time, I thought it was cheaper to just do residence and have to do traveling back and forth, especially because I'd be a full-time student, so I'd be going every single day to school. So basically, I got my residence stuff, and they were like, you need to fill out this like questionnaire type thing to give us the indication of where we're gonna put you, like where, like all this stuff, because when you apply, certain universities have colleges, which is basically the residence buildings. They just call them colleges for some reason. So right after that, I had to rank the colleges in order, and I think the college that I ranked was #1, but I honestly can't remember. So right away, like, they told me, like, I'd gotten into that college, so I'd be ranking for that college in particular, which has 3 separate residence buildings. So you have to answer all these questions like, do you smoke? Do you drink? Are you messy? Like, all that kind of stuff, just so they get an idea of the kind of person you are, so they can place you with someone who's really similar, or probably really similar. I don't think they'd put opposite, because if you didn't smoke, you wouldn't want someone who smokes with you. So yeah, someone who has basically the same, like, stuff that you have. So I filled this out and I sent it in, and I remember because my friend who went there or goes there as well, she actually came up to me and she was like, did you fill this out yet? And I thought I had, but I realized that I clicked a different link on the email than I was supposed to, so I was like, oh crap, like, I gotta do that. So I did it, and I put it in, like, it said, like, the deadline was, like, oh no, I guess it was June when I filled this out. Yeah, so okay, the deadline said it was, like, June 8th or something like that. So I instantly was like, oh crap, okay, I gotta fill this in, because it was only a couple of days before that deadline. So I was like, filling it in and all that, and I sent it through. So I immediately in my head was like, okay, like, I probably won't hear for, like, a couple of months, because it's June, and, like, I don't start school in September, so I guarantee I'll either hear by August or, like, end of July, and that was fine, but the problem is that I was going to Italy for the summer, so I was, like, in full stress mode, like, not knowing, like, where I'd be placed, not knowing what day I was supposed to move, having to get all my stuff and not even being in the country to go buy it, like, having my parents to go buy it. It was a lot of stress. So I went to Italy, packed up my stuff, went to Italy, and this is where the drama happens. Basically, I got to Italy not knowing even if I got into residence. Basically, my friend, right off the bat, when she was filling her stuff out, she paid the deposit fee right away when I still hadn't paid it, so I instantly already felt a little weird about it, that I didn't have to pay the deposit fee yet, because I was like, well, if I got into residence, I feel like I'd have to pay it, but I never got any email like that, so I was like, okay, this is weird. So I instantly started emailing them, being like, hi, haven't heard yet about residence, I just want to know if, like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. They get back to me and they're like, you've been placed on a wait list. We've gotten so many people, like, so many applications that we don't have the room yet for you, so unfortunately you're going to be waitlisted. So I instantly, like, was freaking out, because I think this was, like, before I went to Italy. Yeah, so, like, let's backtrack a little. It was before I went to Italy I found this out. So I was literally checking my email every single day before Italy to see if I had gotten into this residence, because I was going to have Wi-Fi and, like, data in Italy, but I would just so much prefer to know, like, while I was in the country, so that if there's anything I had to do, like, if I had to get a police check, even though you don't need a police check for residence, but if I had to go do that, then at least I was in the country to go do that, you know? So, like, it was just kind of things like that that I needed to know, but they couldn't tell me because, like, I was waitlisted. So every single day I was checking my email, like, being like, okay, like, I need to know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So I sent them another email being like, hi, I'm leaving the country. Is there any way you can tell me, like, what's going on? They just said the same thing. You've been waitlisted, blah, blah, blah. Like, we'll get back to you as soon as we can, all this stuff. So it's like, okay, nice. So I get to Italy, and I forget about the whole situation. I'm having a lot of fun, like, going to tour places. I'm not yet with my family, but, like, we're in the touristy places, so it's a lot of fun. And then I get this email. And I open it up, and it says, your application has been canceled. There are so many people on the wait list, and, like, it gives me, like, reasons why it got canceled. And I just instantly go into shock, and I call my mom, and I'm crying, like, having this huge anxiety attack. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, how am I gonna go to school next year? Like, how am I gonna get, like, I don't understand. I don't know what to do. And I'm just, like, crying and freaking out. And she's like, relax, like, I'll call them, like, we'll figure something out, all this. So I hang up the phone with her, and I instantly, like, I think I went to go look at the email again, but my email had signed me out, so I was like, okay, so I signed back into my email, and there was another email from the school, so I was like, okay, what's this one about? And then it says, update, sorry, your residence wasn't canceled, my bad, like, all this stuff, and I just instantly was pissed. Like, I was so mad. Like, I was like, are you serious? Like, Toronto's a huge school. They probably have so many staff. The fact that they didn't check that email before they let out, like, especially because I'm an undergrad, like, and I'm a first year undergrad, like, it just blows my mind that they didn't look it over, like, the emails before they sent them, because, like, oh my god, like, I was so scared, like, I was like, what? Like, why would this happen? Like, and so I just was so mad. I called my mom back and I, like, told her what happened. She's like, oh, thank God, and all that stuff. So, at this point, because I'd gotten that email, I instantly went to a panic of, well, what if I don't get into residence? Like, what happens? Like, are they just not gonna let me come into school? Like, what am I gonna do? So, my mom started calling the school for me because, again, I was in Italy, so, like, I could call, but it cost so much money. So my mom called, and she said that they told her that I'm an undergrad, and because I'm a first-year undergrad, I'm guaranteed residence no matter what. Like, they can't kick me out. Like, I have to get residence because that's, like, the mandatory thing for first year if you apply for residence. You don't have to do residence, but if you apply, they have to give you residence, especially if you're a first year. So I was like, okay, so I kind of calmed me down a little, but I still was getting nothing from the school. Like, they'd be occasional, like, sorry, like, we will get back to you soon, but you're still on the wait list. Like, so it was just a constant, like, daily thing of, like, getting emails like that, or getting the newsletter, and, like, me thinking that it was from the residence, but it wasn't. So eventually, I can't remember if this is when I came back or when I was still in Italy, but I got an email saying that they were so over capacity that they could not guarantee residence for the month of September to the middle of October. So what they were going to do is put us in a hotel. So in my head, I'm, like, reading this email, and I'm like, great, like, more expenses, like, that I don't have, like, awesome, like, I'm gonna have to pay more money than, like, I already am planning to pay, because university is expensive, and, like, I'm sure it's, like, double the price in the States or wherever, but, like, no matter what, it's expensive, like, no matter where you are. So I just, like, was like, okay, well, like, I guess I'm not gonna be living in Toronto for the first month because I can't afford to do that. So I instantly, like, got back to them and I was like, hi, I really don't understand the email. Like, are you saying that I have to pay out of pocket? Because if I do, I don't have the money, and, like, I can't pay for this, so I will opt out if it is out of pocket. And they're so bad at replying at emails. Like, they don't get back to you till, like, a couple days later, so you're just, like, in a bubble of stress until they get back to you. Just horrible. Like, I get university profs and, like, all, like, any other universities have, like, more, like, they deal with the more important problems first, or they have other stuff to do, so I totally understand, but, like, when it's something like this that's already so important, like, I feel like you should respond to it. So, like, I was just instantly, like, stressed out, and I got an email back, and they were like, yeah, no, like, basically what you're being charged is what the normal residence fee is. So I was still paying residence, but I was just staying in a hotel instead of a residence building. So that was fine, but the dilemma was that then I'd have to actually buy a meal plan, where with residence they include it all together, so it's one, like, fee, and that's it. So the residence fee can, like, go anywhere from, like, 12,000 to, like, 18,000, maybe even higher, depending on where you go. So, but that's, like, with, like, your meal plan and everything. So you have food, like, you can go eat whenever you want, or, like, when your plan tells you can go eat, but regardless, you have food. So in this case, I would not have food. I would not have a kitchen to cook in because I'd be in a hotel room. So basically, I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna either have to buy a meal plan, which they weren't even sure if they were gonna be able to refund it back, basically. So I would have to, whatever meal plan I'd picked, like, that was my meal plan. I'd have to stick with it through the whole year. So I really had to choose one that, like, that I could survive off of, pretty much. So I was at that point looking at flex dollars, which in Toronto, they're just dollars that you can spend at the certain stores at campus. So like if there's a Tim Hortons or a Starbucks, so you can use your card to pay, and it'll like take it out of the dollars that you have. So I was gonna do that to make it easier on myself. So basically at this point, I was back at square one, not knowing what was going on, not knowing what I was gonna do, kind of just really confused with everything, and really annoyed. So I was like, okay, so at this point I decided with my parents that I was gonna go ahead and take the hotel offer, because there's no way I could do back and forth from Toronto, especially because I live in a town where there's like barely public transport. Like there's buses obviously and like all that stuff, but there's no subways or anything. So I'd have to learn all of that and like get used to all that like first day of being at school. So I would have to leave like 3 hours earlier than usual. So like it was not the ideal thing. So I just decided to go ahead and take the hotel plan. So for about a solid month or so, I was set to go into the hotel. I was getting emails about what day I was supposed to move in, where we were supposed to park, like all that stuff. And then I got an email the week before I was supposed to move into the hotel saying that I'd gone into residence and like all the information I needed to get into residence. So yeah, it was a super stressful situation, and like not my favorite thing. Like I was the only person going through this, like for universities. Like no other university was doing this, so it was brutal. And like I'm not the only one. Like I'm sure there were other people dealing with this. Like I think there are people at my school who are going through the same thing as well, like at my school, like at the university. So I was not the only one by any means, but it's just so frustrating to like go through that, like especially because like university is so different than high school. Like you're not living with your parents, you're not going to take a bus or drive yourself to school or anything like that. Like you're living in a completely different place where you have to learn everything all over again, whether it is being the subway, the public transport, all that stuff, like your surroundings, you have to learn everything. So it was just so stressful, like going through that situation, having to think of like all the backup stuff that I'd have to do depending on the option that I chose. So it was a lot, and it was so annoying, but I'm so glad that I'm over that and don't have to go through that now, and don't have to go through it next year, because I got a house for my school next year, so yay. Don't have to go through that dilemma again. So saying that, though I believe I was under the deadline, I can't really remember for sure. So little message for all of you applying to university or applying for residence, like second year residence, first year residence, friggin' fourth year residence, whatever. Be on time with all your stuff, because being waitlisted is the worst thing in the world, and I'm sure you would know that if you're waitlisted for anything, whether it be a phone, a house, a car, like, I don't know, anything that you could be waitlisted for, you know is stressful. So when you get an email, check it right away, get on it, like, send it through, don't wait, don't procrastinate, and, yeah, that is everything. This is a super long story time, but it was a lot, so it, like, there's no way I could cut it short, like, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys had a good Christmas and a great New Year. I think I'm gonna be posting this the week after Christmas, so, yeah, happy holidays to everyone, and I hope to see you guys in my next one and in the new year. Bye.